Lieutenant Colonel Smith, to Governor Gage, Boston, April 22nd, 1775. Sir, in obedience to your Excellency's commands, I marched on the evening of the 18th inst. with the Corps of Grenadiers and Light Infantry for Concord to execute your Excellency's orders with respect to destroying all ammunition, artillery, tents, etc., collected there, which was effected, having knocked off the trunnions of 3 pieces of iron ordnance, some new gun carriages, a great number of carriage wheels burnt, a considerable quantity of flour, some gunpowder and musket balls, with other small articles thrown into the river. Notwithstanding we marched with the utmost expedition and secrecy, we found the country had intelligence or strong suspicion of our coming, and fired many signal guns, and rung the alarm bells repeatedly, and were informed, when at Concord, that some cannon had been taken out of the town that day, that others, with some stores, had been carried 3 days before. I think it proper to observe that when I had got some miles on the march from Boston, I detached 6 light infantry companies to march with all expedition to seize the 2 bridges on different roads beyond Concord. On these companies' arrival at Lexington, I understand, from the report of Major Pitcairn, who was with them, and from many officers, that they found on a green, close to the road, a body of the country people drawn up in military order, with arms and accoutrements, and as appeared after, loaded, and that they had posted some men in a dwelling and meeting house. Our troops advanced towards them without any intention of injuring them, further than to inquire the reason of their being thus assembled, and, if not satisfactory, to have secured their arms. But they, in confusion, went off, principally to the left. Only one of them fired before he went off, and 3 or 4 more jumped over a wall and fired from behind it among the soldiers, on which the troops returned it and killed several of them. They likewise fired on the soldiers from the meeting and dwelling house. We had 1 man wounded, and Major Pitcairn's horse shot in 2 places. Rather earlier than this, on the road, a countryman from behind a wall had snapped his piece at Lieutenants Adair and Sutherland, but it flashed and did not go off. After this, we saw some in the woods, but marched on to Concord without anything further happening. While at Concord we saw vast numbers assembling in many parts. At one of the bridges they marched down with a very considerable body on the light infantry posted there. On their coming pretty near, one of our men fired on them, which they returned, on which an action ensued, and some few were killed and wounded. In this affair, it appears that after the bridge was quitted, they scalped and otherwise ill-treated 1 or 2 of the men who were either killed or severely wounded, being seen by a party that marched by soon after. At Concord we found very few inhabitants in the town. Those we met with, both Major Pitcairn and myself, took all possible pains to convince that we meant them no injury, and that if they opened their doors when required to search for military stores, not the slightest mischief would be done. We had opportunities of convincing them of our good intentions, but they were sulky, and one of them even struck Major Pitcairn. On our leaving Concord to return to Boston, they began to fire on us from behind the walls, ditches, trees, etc., which, as we marched, increased to a very great degree, and continued without the intermission of 5 minutes altogether, for I believe upwards of 18 miles, so that I can't think but it must have been a preconcerted scheme in them, to attack the King's troops the first favourable opportunity that offered. Otherwise I think they could not, in so short a time, as from our marching out, have raised such a numerous body, and for so great a space of ground. Notwithstanding the enemy's numbers, they did not make 1 gallant effort during so long an action, though our men were so very much fatigued, but kept under cover. I have the honor, F. Smith, Lieutenant Colonel, 10th Foot.